leading edge, new age healing art modality, okay? But that was the foundation of chiropractic. And I want you to think of it this way. Think your body vibrationally, the shape, position, tension, and tone of your body. Think of your spinal cord, your spinal structure is like a string instrument. If you have a string instrument, okay, and you press on one level, you'll get one note. C note, A note, whatever it is. You press on another level, you get another note. The same thing with your spine. Now imagine playing a musical piece on a piano, which is a string instrument, strings in there, and you're playing a musical piece, but the C note is in the background of every music, of the whole musical piece. It's just always pressed, and you just hear it in the background, kind of like a low vibration, whatever it would be. That's what spinal subluxations are like vibrationally to your being. But over time, the shape, position, tension of your body will move as those strings of your spinal cord and connective tissue change how you hold your body. If you think about it, if a person was in this particular position, their posture, you know people's postures communicate emotion. If you watch television, if you watch a show, an actor or actress will contort their body to communicate a certain emotion. You'll know what they're feeling, okay? You'll know, you can look at someone's face and know if you should stay away from them or talk to them, or if they're happy or sad, by the shape of the connective tissue of their face. Now, if you looked at a person's body and they were like this, would this be the person that you'd want to hire for the lead person of your sales force for your marketing firm? Okay? Sell you, I mean, they're pretty much tuned into radio station WSUK, for their life. That's the radio station they're tuned into. If the person's body is more like this, okay, they're going to be more tuned into WJOY, okay, in terms of what their body can receive. You remember the old radio station, the old car dials? I know everything's digital now, but the car dials where you turn the dial, okay, and as you turn the dial, the little thing would go across, and then we get a different radio station. That is how your nerve system works. Depending on where there's pressure, you might be getting the rock station, or the blues station, or the jazz station, or the muzak station, God forbid, or the classical station, or whatever it might be. Imagine getting in your car. As soon as you turned on the key, okay, you got the heavy metal station no matter what, and you couldn't turn it down. It was the whole way you drove in the car. But you might be living in that in your body and not realize it because of whatever traumas happened to you or events happened to you, and your body is experiencing life through that filter every single day. Emotional traumas are much more causative of spinal subluxations than physical ones ever are. It is a huge myth that we usually have to really bust for people because they come in saying, nothing has ever happened to me in my life. I've had a perfect life. I've never fallen, and I'm 40. But I've never had physically anything happen, and then I picked up a piece of paper last week, and now this happened, so something's got to just be able to fix me the way I was a week before. And we know, whenever I look at a person's history, that that's so not true, okay? I mean, they fell 5,000 times just learning how to walk before they were 5 years old, let alone the, emotional things that happened to them as a teen, or the things that happened to them with their parents, or the things that happened in their relationships, or the stresses of managing money, or the stresses of not having money to manage, or the stresses of marriage, or the stresses of divorce, or the stress of not getting a divorce, or the stress of not getting married, or whatever it might be. Okay? All of those things, whatever it is, add up to things that your body has to process, and we can get locked in those different things. So what I want you to realize is that your body has different subsystems. Your cardiovascular subsystem is one subsystem of your body. Your reproductive subsystem is another one. Your, cardiovascular system, your respiratory system, those are all different subparts of your body. Your spine is one subsystem of your whole body in terms of physiology, okay? That system, your spinal system, can be broken down to different parts. the passive subsystem. Okay, this is what we teach chiropractors. We're going to teach them how to look at the spine as a whole. The passive subsystem, which is the bones, the discs, and ligaments. It's called passive brilliantly because it doesn't move on its own. Okay, it's passive. Okay, something else has to act on it for it to do things. Now, those discs are actually loaded with receptors to report back to the brain where they are in space. And actually, I've recently read that they're thinking of reclassifying discs as organs in themselves because they meet a lot of the qualities of what an organ is. That's how intricate they are. But people blame discs as a fault of their spinal problems, but they're passive. Something has to happen to them. The ligaments, they encase that. There's also part of the passive subsystem. Passive subsystem is kind of like a transducer. It can send information back and forth, but doesn't actually do anything. Okay, just sends. It's the radio signal. Okay. The next thing is there's an active part of your spine, active subsystem. Brilliantly named because it acts on the passive stuff to move it, and that's the muscles of your spine. The little muscles in between the vertebrae and the big muscles of your back. The active subsystem of spine, and they have to contract and move and know how much to contract and move to move those passive parts of your spine. And then there's another subsystem, which is the neural control subsystem. This is your Pentium processor, or whatever processor we're up to now. Okay, you have the Pentium processor of your body that is going to tell or communicate or process that information for the passive system and the active system. And all three of those have to work together in harmony, well coordinated, for your spine to be strong and healthy and well aligned and adaptive and not be stuck into past traumas and events. Here's the thing, there's a lot, as I said, there's lots of other subsystems in your body. Another subsystem that's intimately related to your spine is your emotional subsystem. Okay? Now your emotional subsystem isn't so much a physical subsystem in that it has a particular physical location. In other words, what I want you to understand is your emotional subsystem, even though this is not common knowledge, is not in your brain. Your emotional subsystem is not in your brain. There's a landmark book written by Candace Pert called Molecules of Emotion. Very good read. And she talks about network care and how brilliant it is in her book. And she's a leader in, I think it's called Psychoneuroimmunology, if I remember correctly. But anyway, and I got to adjust her once on a table next to Boulder Creek. She was giving a lecture at Naropa, and I saw her so low, and she asked me to adjust her, but she wanted to get adjusted next to Boulder Creek, so we brought a table outside. But anyway, and she used to go to a lot of the network transformational gates and programs. But in her book, she talks about that there are molecules of emotion that float through your whole body. And when people say, I'm having a gut feeling, that is very physiologically true. You feel emotions in your gut, as well as in your spinal cord, as well as throughout your body. And what happens is there are literally molecules, and you can say there's molecules to simplify it conceptually. There's molecules that relate to love. There's molecules that relate to anger. There's molecules that relate to hate. For you to experience bliss, for you to experience love, those molecules, if you remember very basic biology, have to lock, that whole lock and key thing that you learned somewhere in high school biology, those molecules have to lock to the cell membranes for you to experience those particular emotions. That's the concept of her book that she studied.